Welcome to the weekly Shlog, everybody. I have no idea what Zach is doing over there, but he's carefuling very well. He's got safety glasses and ear protection. He's more or less the opposite of me in almost every way. So we're very proud of him. Welcome back to our weekly Shlog, guys, where we show you all kinds of cool dirt bike stuff. If you are tuned in from last week, you'll know that we'll be working on this TPI that's being a giant pain in the butt. Also, testing an all-balls fuel pump, aftermarket whole fuel pump assembly and all that good stuff. You also know that we have new dogs that love each other. Well, one is an old dog, and we have new Leroy. So anyway, guys, if this sounds like fun, if you want to join us for this, stick with us. Let's get to it. Okay guys, first job of the week is this TPI TX300. It's the 2021. My buddy Andrew has been riding it. It worked great for a while, and then recently it started sucking. It would run fine and then just stop running and, you know, try to give it gas and burr, like it's fouling a plug and these changed, anyway, whatever. It's got an RK Tech head. It's got the Power Commander fuel controller. We've reflashed that. That's not the problem. Seems like everything else is good. I think it might be the crankcase pressure sensor, or it's a fuel pump, like fuel delivery issue. So, but first things first, we got to replicate the problem. So I'm going to, it's cold outside, but I'm going to take it outside, fire it up, I'll grab my other camera, and let's go for a ride and see if we can't make it do what it was doing. All right, guys, got the TX out here. Let's just try starting it up, see what happens. Yeah. So I haven't pulled the cold start thing. I guess I can. We'll just keep going here, see if it. There we go, maybe. Should warm up here pretty quick and just roll. Alright, so here's the thing. Andrew was saying that this thing would start and run and idle and be fine, and it'd run for a little bit and then it would fail. So I'm going to do everything by the book. I'm going to let it warm up. The thing about TPIs, guys, if you haven't ever ridden one, they really like to be warmed up before they take off. I guess some guys have seized motors on these things because they fired it up, bam, 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 and then took off. And it's just the oil pump hadn't caught up, or I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I do know that they're really lean on the bottom. And so a lean bike, if you take off too fast, it'll seize it because the piston expands faster than the cylinder, and it'll, because there's water in the cylinder to help keeping it cool, and the piston will expand too fast, and it's called a cold seizure because the motor's too cold, but the piston expands and touches the cylinder walls. So I'm gonna let that warm up and idle, and I'm gonna go check our mail. And it's interesting, guys, this is a TX, but it has a thermostat, and I'm guessing they did that because of the TPI. I'm guessing they have a sensor in there for temperature, or something, I don't know, but it's weird that a TX would have a thermostat. I don't know why, it seems odd to me, but. Alright. Now the radiator's heating up, things are getting heat in it. Feeling good about that. But as it warms up, I'm starting to think about what might be wrong with this bike, right? So, some guys commented on the last Shlog, they thought maybe it was a fuel pump, or fuel filter, or injector. I'm I'm leaning towards that's not the case because it's running right now. Usually, if a fuel pump or filter or whatever clogs up enough to make something not run or run really, really poorly, they don't just magically clear up and then run fine. So. Seems like it's running pretty good to me right now, which is again what Andrew said would happen. So what we'll do, I'm still not feeling enough heat in the radiators. Probably the thermostat hasn't opened up yet. Oh, see that? All right, it's starting to do it. There we go, it's starting to do it, guys. And that is acting a lot like the last crankcase pressure sensor problem I had. All right, let's just go take it for a spin, but I think we might have already figured it out. All right, so while I know this is not funny to Andrew, it's kind of funny to me. This is unrideable. Now I know exactly what he was talking about, so I'm not going to ride it anymore. But this is classic why I didn't want a TPI, guys. Is that weird things like this happen. They don't happen very often. And this is Andrew's second TPI. And on the first one, he didn't have any problems. But this one's causing issues. Yeah, this is messed up. So, yeah, let's go check it out. All right, guys, so you saw what was going on. Let me show you what we're looking at here. So, right there, that little black hose, that is the hose that leads up to the crankcase pressure sensor. It's up in there. It's kind of a pain to get to, but one of the things that can cause that failure is actually for that hose to get clogged up. And you can see it's right above the intake. Here's the throttle body right here, goes in. Oil is that little clear line, drops in, goes in. Anyway, you can get that clogged up. So I'm going to pull that thing off first, try to blow through it, make sure it's all good, and then we're going to take the tank off and pull the sensor. But I might try running it after, if it's clogged. I'll check that first. If it's clogged and I blow it out, we might try taking it out and running it first before we take everything apart. Otherwise, we'll take this all apart and show you how we get to that sensor and we'll replace it. All right, guys, so I got the hose off. Here it is. It's clean as a whistle. So that's not the problem. So now we're gonna take the tank off, got the seat off, tank's coming off, and then we'll dive into the sensor. I think on the Huskies, I think it's just the tank. So anyway, we'll get that off and take a closer look. All right, guys, so here we go, got some stuff out of the way. This right here is the sensor. So now we got to get this out of here. And it doesn't just come out. It's screwed. It's kind of a pain in the butt. But I think I have a good way. I'm sure there's other videos on the YouTubes of how to do it the right way. Probably the right way is going to involve like taking the oil tank out of the way, or no, I don't know, but I'm gonna try not to do that. So there's some Torx screws up underneath here that hold this whole bracket in place. So I've unhooked the oil pump. This is the oil pump, just so you guys know. I've unhooked the oil pump so I can get to that. And I got a little Torx bit. It is a T20. I'm gonna come up underneath here, loosen these, and see if we can drop the whole thing down and get a good look and pull that sucker out. All right, guys, so we got it loose. I think we're gonna have no problem getting that out of there. So there it is. There's another Torx screw up there. So we'll get that out, and then we gotta lift this thing out. It's in like a rubber boot, so you can't just, you gotta be kind of careful as you pull it up and out of there. But we've got that loose enough that I think we can get in there with the Torx and pop it loose. And let me show you something else, guys. There's another sensor. It's actually the exact same sensor on this side. That guy right there. That's the barometric pressure sensor, and that one you can actually just plug that one into the other if you're like stuck out in the woods and the bike's run like this. And Andrew didn't know that, but you got to take it out and hook it up, the hose up to it. But excuse me, so you can take that out and use that as a spare if you want, because it'll do that. It'll default to like a sea level map, because this is the barometric pressure sensor, this other one. But it'll at least run. The Crankcase pressure sensor makes it so it doesn't run really. I mean, it runs, but as you heard, not well. So anyway, let's pop that sucker out, and I have a new one. We'll plug it in. All right, got her out. There's no real way to, I don't know that there's a way to test these. There probably is some way to test them. I don't know, but we're just gonna replace it. I gotta go dig around. Hopefully I can find it. Let me show you the mistake though that I made. The oil pump, which is, you know, right up in here, as I was moving this around, I got a little aggressive with trying to get it into the right spot, and it unhooked the oil tank from the pump and did that. So don't do that unless you want a big mess to clean up. So, and it's all over the motor and that, so now I gotta deal with that. Anyway, I'm gonna go see if I can find that sensor. All right, guys, here we go. Crankcase pressure sensor. Boom, brand shiny new from KTM. So, gonna install it and see what happens. I think we should be good. All right, guys, got the tank back on. Nothing's really bolted up because we're gonna make sure this thing works. So let's go outside, fire this thing up and see if it does the same thing. Hopefully it doesn't. Watch out, animals. Watch out, animals. Do the same thing. We're gonna warm her up, let it do its thing, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, this fixes it and we don't have to go deeper into it. The funny thing is, normally I like to announce that things are going to be for sale because I think they're awesome. Well, this one's going to be for sale too. It has less to do with the awesomeness. The owner of this bike is over it. It just bummed him out. He's got a carbureted 2021 TC 250 that he's got all set up for racing. And he rode it the other weekend and was like, yeah, I'm getting rid of that 300 as soon as it runs good. So, sadly, for this bike, it's going down the road, but it'll make someone a good bike. I know there's a lot of you guys out there that have TPIs and you love them, and I'm so glad. But I also know that there's a lot of guys out there that have TPIs and they don't like them. So it goes back and forth. I find it weird that a manufacturer can make bikes and have what seems like half of them work right and then half of them not. So unfortunately, this one doesn't. Like I said earlier, he had a 19 TX, or that was a TE. No, I don't know. It was a TE 300i. And he had no problems with it. Zero problems. It ran great its whole time. And this one, from the get-go, he didn't really like it. That's why we put the RK Tech hat on. That's why I did the fuel command, all that stuff. Because it was like the last one was great, and it's like, well, we just gotta fix it. But it didn't turn out that way for me. He's not real happy. So anyway, we're gonna warm this thing up. We'll take it for a spin. So far. All right, we're gonna take it down the road. we go. Now we got to figure it out. It is junk. All right, guys, got the TPI back up on the lift. I figure I'm just going to keep going through simple things first. So we got the pressure sensor swapped. It didn't fix it. Next thing I thought about is obviously the spark plug. So if you take, let's see, take a look. It's definitely dark, way darker than you'd think it would be. So we'll try that. Although I'm honestly, I don't know, I'm leaning towards now, since the CCP didn't fix it, I'm leaning towards the fact that the fuel pressure might not be right when you load it, because it seems, well, it got worse there, even not even in neutral. So I don't know, but I'm gonna take this back out, try it, and we'll come back in and check in. All right, guys, so the spark plug did not fix it. It did the exact same thing. So next on the list of possibilities, in my mind at least, is that it could be low fuel pressure. So I do have a fuel pressure gauge, but I figure let's just pull the thing apart. We got the tank off, it's down there. We're gonna put it up here on the bench, and we're gonna pull the fuel pump out and take a look at the filter. These things do have a little bit of a history of splitting the fuel filter that's in the tank. So let's pull that thing out and take a look. All right, guys. So there it is. That's the fuel filter. It's awfully dark, which doesn't always mean that it's bad. I don't see any splits. So I think I have one. I'm gonna go check, make sure I do before I pull it off, but I think I have one to replace it. All right, we do have one. Like I said, that's new, but they get covered in fuel and they look a lot different. But let's pull this off. I have the right clamps and everything. So make sure, keep an eye on which way goes which, so the arrow is going towards the electrical part. So now, so that means that's pretty dirty. Let's try blowing through it. Well, it's definitely not flowing as good as this. Obviously this one's dry, but I say we give it a shot. Hopefully this will take care of it. Hey guys, so next up is to fix this this beautiful, super crazy expensive hand welded pipe from Scalvini. If you guys watched the moto vlog from just recently, you know that I bent this, and but honestly, part of the reason I was running a Scalvini pipe is to see what it takes to fix it when it bends, because we all know if you ride two strokes long enough, you're going to bend one. So you can see here we've got a decent bend right here. I must have fallen over, boom, hit, and then it pushed up into the radiator guard right there. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fix this, and then I'm probably going to take a rubber mallet and dent this in, because most of the pipes these days have that dent in them to keep them from the radiator. So I'm actually gonna smooth this out. I'm not gonna fix this dent, but try to fix this up and see how well it does. Now, part of the thing I'm a little bit worried about is this doesn't have the lip like the other ones, so my guy here is not going to have a positive stop, but I think I can get it tight enough to be okay. And then the other end's like normal. So let's get this thing set up, like I talked about earlier. Guys, that turned out way better than I thought. It definitely went easier, I think, than a normal pipe. I don't know if it's because it's better metal, it has more memory or whatever, but it looks good. Obviously the cool coloring is off, whatever, I don't care about that. I mean, it's not as pretty anymore, but it's round, it's, you know, looks like it's supposed to look, so that did well. So now, like I said, I'm gonna grab a, I'm gonna let this cool off a little bit, but then I'm gonna grab a rubber mallet. I'm gonna dent this in and try to make it look nice and smooth so it clears the radiator guard in the future. All right. Final thing, people ask me about what you got to do to these pipes to keep them pretty and like maintain them. One of the big things is you got to keep them free of water, because water ends up on them and rusts them because there's no like plating finish on these things. So I just like to use WD-40. All right, there we go. Pipe is back in shape. Obviously, that's where the dent is that I made it bigger, clear the radiator guard, and then there's the big dent all blown out. Definitely not as pretty as it once was, but fortunately, this part's still sexy looking, and that's what most people would see anyway. I'm not a big worrier about the looks of things. I don't care too much. I just want them to function properly. Now some of you guys might say that dent up there could change the way it works, because every dent does make a difference, and it does technically. Not enough for me to ever notice. So anyway, that's awesome. We'll put that back on. We're waiting for the pump for this thing, and we'll get back to the 300 TPI. Get to work, boy. I got my other kid here. We're making him work. It's good. Good for his soul. Leroy is supervising. You can see. So is Leandra. We're all going to supervise Ewan all day today. We're just going to make him do work all day while we all supervise and make sure he does a good job. Yeah, guys, the pump is showing up. There goes the compression. Pump is showing up for the Husky today. So we're going to swap that thing out, see how it does. We'll also take a really good look at it compared to the OEM pump. We'll pull them both out, put them on the bench, and look at them and see if there are any differences, what they are, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we'll check that all out. Got the pump, got the tank off. We got the pump out of the Husqvarna. So there is the stock pump. Here's the parts that hook it to the bottom of the tank. Obviously the feed to the fuel injector, anyway, like that. So now let's take a look at All Balls Easy Fuel Pump Module. They also sell fuel pump rebuild kits and I guess gasket, anyway, whatever. That's for probably an ATV or something. But here is their fuel pump for the KTMs. Now I did find out there are different ones for the 20s and up, because I ordered one for the Covco bike, but it is not the right one. So let's pull this thing out and take a look. So first, we'll take a look at the stock one. So everything, you know, nice. The connections on the pump are all nice and covered. They got heat shrink around them. They all look good. Nice soldering on that. The capacitor, everything looks really good. They use these whatever, made in Turkey filters. This is the new one that I put on yesterday that did not fix the problem. But so anyway, there we go. Now we'll take a look at this. Everything looks about the same. Honestly, this solder joint looks not quite as nice as the other one. The capacitor looks about the same. Maybe it's a little bit different looking. But the solder joint, well, that maybe not as nice. The top of it is nicer. It's actually heat shrinked all the way to the capacitor. And on this one, it's not. It's close though. It looks pretty good. So yeah, I'd say it's legit. I mean, nothing glaringly different, right? So that's the important thing. It doesn't look super different. Right on. So install and everything seems legit, just like this OEM one. Now, fingers crossed, that's what's going on. I have a fuel pressure gauge, guys, if you're wondering why I'm not checking fuel pressure on the other one. I have a gauge, but I don't have the setup to put it in line on this bike yet. I ordered the parts. I don't want to just cut into the stock fuel line and then have to repair, anyway, whatever. So I've got a little setup, and when that gets here, I will show you how I do that, because I think it's going to be a pretty slick little setup to be able to check fuel pressure on all the fuel-injected KTMs. And I'll have to buy parts for the Japanese ones in the future, and I'll show you. But anyway, I'll show you how that works. So anyway, I'm going to put this thing back together, we're going to pour gas in it, and hopefully we're going to ride away into the sunset, and Mr. Neil can sell this bike and move on. All right, time to take it for a spin. Oh, there for a second I thought we had it. So despite what this bike looks like right now, I finally figured it out. It was not the pump. Put the pump in there. It definitely seemed to run better, idle a little bit stronger. Because anyway, whatever. That filter was clogged up. I'm sure the pump isn't making quite the pressure. Doesn't matter. That wasn't the actual real problem. It turns out I got to eat my words here and my my belief system because it was an electrical part. It was a really confusing, really weird situation, but it was an aftermarket one. So this is the power commander that we put on it when we did the RK Tech head. It's the power commander that Kelsey recommended. It worked great for a while, and then it started going bad. Now the weird thing is it was a gradual thing, so that doesn't make sense for it to be just the part. Regardless of that, I unhooked it all, plugged in the normal stuff, and it ran fine. So again, hat in hand, all you guys who are fans of these things, sorry, but I'm only eating half my words because it still was a weird electrical thing, and I don't know for sure, but I think it might have to do with this coming out of this. Now, I don't know for a fact that came out before, like, I don't know if that's what caused it to run poorly or if it came out when I was trying to remove the thing from the bike. So I don't know. It was an electrical thing. The other thing it could have been, because I don't know that the part failed, is this connector, which is the TPS. You can see some kind of corrosion and stuff down in there. It doesn't look bad inside. But I don't know. It was something going on. It might have been just the part. But so if you leave things stock, and I've always said that, if you leave things stock, they tend to be okay. Now I do lots of not stock things to my bike to test them and show you guys and see if they're going to work or whatever. So anyway, yeah. Hats off, guys. TPI guys. Turns out if you leave them alone, at least this one would have been okay. But that being said, Andrew, from day one, wasn't happy with this bike. Long before we put all the stuff on it, he was not happy with this bike. And I don't know if he'll comment here on the video or not. But anyway, main thing is I'm super excited we figured it out. I'm super excited it's running good. I still think he's going to sell it because he doesn't like all the, whatever, and the fact that it was so weird to figure out. So, whatever. It might still be for sale. But yeah, I'm psyched. Obviously, he's not going to have to pay for the pump and all that stuff that's now in the bike because it wasn't the problem. So the upside is it's got a brand new pump and a brand new crankcase pressure sensor. So anyway, there we go, guys. We're all learning together. This one turned out not to be what I thought. So anyway, at least a big enough man to admit when I was wrong. All right, guys. So Ewan actually just helped me do a service on a 450, I think. No, 500. I don't know, whatever. Big 4-stroke Husqvarna. He did a great job. Good job, bud. Zach Sheets is taking care of the other one. Our good friend Glenn Anderson brought us 2 bikes, both for just normal services, and then Zach is doing fork seals. I am getting ready to film the install of a new super rad thing I'm going to be testing out. It is that thing right there. It's called Countershocks, spelled with an X at the end. I'm not going to talk about it right now on this Shlog because I got things to do. But make sure you guys tune into the channel, subscribe and all that, whatever. It's super, super rad. I'm really excited to test it. If it does what they say it will do, it is going to be hopefully pretty revolutionary. It's brand new. He just got a patent pending, so it's not secret or anything like that. You can go check him out online at Facebook. It's Countershocks. Instagram, it's Countershocks, and I think YouTube is Countershocks. And like I said, it's COUNTERSHOX on all those platforms. So go check him out. I think I'm going to be the first guy who's actually filming a bunch of testing, so I'm pretty stoked about it. We're going to install it right now. So anyway, we'll look at this kid. For the Shlog, we'll get on to the next job. All right, guys. Next on the lift is this lovely 2017 TX. No, yeah, TX. Yeah, TX 300. I think it's a TX or is it a TE? It doesn't have lights on it. Honestly, sorry, Garrett, I can't remember. It doesn't matter though. It's a 300 Husqvarna / KTM / gas now. From 2017. It has a carburetor, and we are doing some awesome things to it. We got the full setup from Kelsey from RK Tech to make this thing just as bad to the bone as my 300. Really excited about it. We don't have a key and carburetor for it, but I think that's fine. We're going to make that Mikuni work really well. So I'm going to dive deep into this in a video, a separate video. So if you guys want to check that out, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're going to be going through all the parts, what's different about it than a normal piston, what's different about the head, and anyway, all that good stuff. So yeah, let's start taking this thing apart and we'll get into it. All right, guys, so we got Garrett's bike all back together. We got the top end done. Everything's working good there. We got the extreme parts clutch cover guard on there, which I'm really loving mine. And it fit on his way better than it fit on mine. Like, I had to drill a hole out here on mine for the thing to fit, but his fit perfectly. So I don't know what's up with my clutch cover. Must be something different, even though I didn't think there was. But anyway, whatever. We got his on there, works good. Let me start this thing up for you guys so you can hear it, because it sounds so good. The sound of my people. I love it. Really excited to get that thing done. You definitely need to make sure you turn on the little notification bell. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, because this now is built exactly like my 18300 motor-wise. It's got the exact same piston, exact same head. It has a different carburetor. It's got the Mikuni carburetor, jetted. We ended up with a 450 main jet and a 32.5 pilot. It's got the JD red needle in number 2 right now. But it has a different pipe, and it's got a different carburetor. So the two different things about it are probably going to make a difference. So I'm excited. We're going to ride together. Garrett's a friend of mine. So we're going to go out together and ride, and we're going to trade bikes and back and forth, and we're going to film the whole thing so you guys can get our honest opinions on, first of all, if they feel different at all, and then if they do, what is different, and then we can talk about why and how and all that good stuff. So I'm really excited. Stoked to have that done. Got a couple of little things left to do to get it ready before he picks it up, but then it's going to be ready to go. That's going to be the end of the Shlog, guys. Thank you so much for joining me here at Highland Cycles. It really, really means a lot. Punk Rock Club, thank you guys for sticking around to the end. I love you guys so much. If you guys have any questions, anything you want to see me do, comment below. We can try to make it happen. So I love you. I hope you get out and spread the gospel of two wheels. And you know what I'm going to say. I desperately hope that what we're doing here at Highland Cycles is inspiring you guys to work on, but more importantly, get out and ride your dirt bikes!